Ever wondered why your rolls sound like this? You play the notes right, your grip feels solid, but something feels off. The roll either sounds too pulsed or too open. Here's the truth. Perfect rolls aren't magic. They're actually physics. And once you understand how the science behind them works, you can fix them for good. Let's dive into the mechanics and how to fix them. So, how do rolls work? Every stick is like a spring, bouncing and vibrating on the drum head and the air. When you press the stick into the head, that first strike sends tiny shock waves through the material of the drum. And it doesn't just bounce once. It creates a chain reaction of micro bounces that decay over time. And we call that a bounce train or a buzz. So there are three things that control said bounce train. First thing is the initial impulse and pressure. The stronger and more controlled your pressure is, the longer the buzz lasts, because the stick stays on the head longer. This creates the dense sizzle rebound that you hear. The second is rebound and head tension. Basically, tight head equals snappy bounce, and loose head equals a slower, fatter sound. And the final one is damping. This is basically how fast the drum eats up your energy. If there's too much damping, the roll sounds very choppy. So there's a little secret to rolls that not many people actually talk about, and it's not the consistency of your buzzers, but how you overlap your hands when you play the buzzers. A great roll happens when buzzers are overlapped perfectly. The first bounce of the one hand blends in with the tail of the other, and this forms one smooth, endless sound. Think of it like two strobe lights. If they're out of sync, it appears to be flickering, and that's a pulsed roll. But when they're in sync, the light looks perfectly solid and smooth and powerful. And that is a clean roll. So why do rolls actually go wrong? Let's break down the three most common issues. Firstly is the uneven roll. Sometimes it's grip, sometimes it's pressure, sometimes it's because your sticks are unevenly weighted. And yes, even a single gram can ruin your groove. If you don't know how to check for unevenly weighted sticks, just take the back of your stick and lightly tap it on your head. If you hear uneven pitches, then your sticks aren't matched. Also, where you play on the drum matters. If you hit closer to the rim of the drum, you'll get a harsh metallic overtone. So make sure to stay central and balanced. It all comes down to balance, both in your sticks, in your equipment, and in your hands. The second common issue is the open roll. This roll sounds very thin, like a whole bunch of doubles, one after the other, which is used in some drumming techniques, but not in pipe band. This type of roll is usually caused by not putting enough pressure on the stick, and therefore the stick doesn't stay on the drum head long enough to create those bounces. This is also caused by holding your stick too far forward or playing with stiff fingers. And the last issue is a closed roll or an overpulsed roll. And this happens when you're putting too much pressure on the stick or when you're holding your stick too far back, which chokes the buzz. If your rolls sound like a washing machine that's on a spin cycle, then you know what the issue is. Here's the exciting part of the video, because all these issues can be fixed. So let's start at the top. Firstly, we've got the grip and the fulcrum. So find the natural balance point of the stick. This is where you want the tip of your fingers to rest. If you go too far back, you'll choke the rebound. If you go too far forward, you lose control. If this is an issue, focus on practicing your buzzers with controlled pressure. Not force, just a guided touch. On your left, the thumb gives a slight downward pressure onto the stick, and on your right, your three fingers is what gives the pressure. And the goal of this is to keep the stick touching the head long enough for a dense overlapping buzz. The next is to be relaxed and to have control. Tension is your worst enemy. Whether it's in your shoulders, your wrists, your fingers, it never ends up good. Make sure you loosen all these parts of your body and to let the sticks breathe. You're not trying to force the stick to bounce, but you're trying to help it bounce. If your arm feels like it's in a gym workout, then you're doing it wrong. The next is to match your hands. Use a mirror and slow practice to make sure that each hand is identical. Your weaker hand should produce the same density of buzz as your stronger hand. If you don't know which is stronger, check out last week's Technique Tuesday on how to identify your weak hand. When both sticks release equal energy onto the drum, the roll sounds smooth and melts into one continuous sound. Once you've gotten all these issues out of the way, Practice your buzzers from hand to hand, and as they get more comfortable, start closing the gap so you don't hear where the changeover is. Once this feels comfortable, add in decrescendo and crescendo drills. This helps you not only play the roll, but shape it. At the end of the day, perfect pipe band rolls are not just about speed, it's about control and feel. It's simple science. 2 sticks, 1 head, infinite control. If this helped you understand the science behind your rolls, make sure to hit the like button, drop a comment on what you discovered about your rolls, and subscribe if you want to see more deep dives into the technique of pipe band drumming. And remember, the more you understand how these mechanics work, the faster you can make your drums sing.